Katie Morrison stood in the middle of the courtroom. Her hands were locked in glowing chains that buzzed with alien power. The room was made of clear crystal that let her see the stars outside. Hundreds of alien creatures sat in rows, watching her like she was some kind of show. She knew why she was here. The charges were simple on paper. She had gone into a zone marked as off-limits. She had taken data files that did not belong to her. She had fought back when they tried to arrest her. But the real reason was different. Katie had found proof that the Galactic Council was testing weapons on planets where people lived. They wanted her gone before she could tell anyone. The lead judge was called Velcros. He was tall, covered in shiny scales, and had 6 eyes that looked at her with what seemed like joy. He spoke in a voice that echoed through the room. "Katie Morrison of Earth, you have been found guilty. Your punishment is exile to Krahara Prime. May your gods show you mercy." The room went silent. Even the criminals sitting in the back stopped talking. Katie felt her stomach drop. She knew what Krahara Prime was. Everyone in the galaxy knew. It was a moon filled with the most dangerous hunters in known space, creatures so deadly that the Council could not even count them all. Nobody lived there longer than a few days. From the viewing area, she heard shouting. Captain Ryan Brooks and Navigator Amy Chen were on their feet. They were her crew from the exploration ship Horizon's Edge. They yelled protests, but guards moved to silence them. The sound of the judge's hammer hitting his desk drowned out everything else. Katie turned to look at Velcros. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice stayed calm. "You are sending me there because I learned the truth, but the truth will not die with me." Something changed in the judge's 6 eyes. Maybe fear. Maybe he knew this human would cause more trouble than he wanted. Hours later, Katie sat in a small pod that would drop her onto the moon. Through the window, she could see Krahara Prime getting closer. It had jungles that glowed with strange light. Mountains reached up into clouds. Valleys were covered in mist that never cleared. The pod shook as it fell through the air. It crashed through the tops of giant trees and hit the ground hard. Katie's body slammed against the straps holding her in place. The door opened with a hiss. Sound poured in from every direction. Roars, screams, and howls came from the jungle around her. The air was thick and wet. It made her clothes stick to her skin right away. The smell was strong, a mix of sweet flowers and rotting meat. Katie unbuckled the straps and stepped out onto alien dirt. She had nothing, no weapons, no food, no water, no way to call for help. The Council's record said most prisoners died within 3 days. Katie looked at the timer on her wrist. It had already started counting down. But Katie Morrison was not most people. She had worked on frontier colonies for years. She grew up in the wild parts of Earth after humans had started taking back the forests. She knew how to survive. If the Council wanted her dead, they would need to do better than this. She looked around at the jungle. The trees were huge, their trunks wider than the pod she arrived in. Vines hung down like ropes. Plants glowed with soft blue and green light. In the distance, something roared. It sounded big, really big. Katie took a breath and started walking. She needed to find water first, then shelter, then food. She had survived worse. At least that is what she told herself. The first few hours taught her important lessons. The ground was dangerous. She saw marks in the dirt where something had dragged prey away. She found bones that looked fresh, blood still wet on leaves. Everything here was either a hunter or food. She needed to decide which one she would be. As the sun started to set, the jungle changed. The glowing plants got brighter. New sounds began. Things were waking up and they sounded hungry. Katie found a tall tree and started climbing. Her hands grabbed vines and branches. She pulled herself up into the canopy, high above the ground. She used vines to tie herself to a thick branch. It was not comfortable, but it was safer than being down below. She hoped the hunters here stayed on the ground like they did on Earth. She hoped wrong. Just after dark, something moved through the trees near her. Katie froze. She could see it by the light of the glowing plants. It was massive, bigger than any creature she had seen before. It had 6 legs, all thick with muscle. Its mouth opened in 3 directions, showing teeth the size of knives. Its eyes glowed orange in the dark. Katie held her breath. She did not move. The creature passed below her, silent despite its size. The wind carried her scent away from it. The hunter moved on, looking for easier prey. Katie let out her breath slowly. First lesson learned. Stay high. Stay where the wind takes your smell away. She did not sleep much that night. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow could be death. But when the sun came up again, Katie Morrison was still alive. That was more than the coup Katie spent the next 3 days learning the jungle. She moved carefully, watching everything. She saw how the hunters worked. She saw which areas were safe and which ones meant death. The predators here were not stupid animals. They were smart. They planned their attacks. They worked together. Some hunted in packs with clear signals to each other. Others waited alone, hidden, ready to strike. On the 4th day, Katie saw them for the first time. The Krahara, the creatures the moon was named after. They were the top hunters here. Everything else feared them. They walked on 2 legs like humans. But that was where the similarity ended. They were huge, at least 9 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in scales that looked like armor. Their arms ended in claws that curved like hooks. Each head had a crest of bone that rose up like a crown. Katie watched from her hiding spot in the trees. A family group of Krahara was hunting. There was a large female leading them. 2 males followed her. They moved through the jungle with purpose, not making a sound despite their size. The way they hunted amazed Katie. They used hand signals. They spread out to cut off escape routes. They drove their prey toward each other. It was better planning than most human soldiers could manage. When they made their kill, they were efficient, quick, clean. They took what they needed and left the rest. No waste, no mess. Just skilled hunters doing what they were born to do. Katie studied them for hours. She learned their sounds. Clicks meant attention. Low growls meant warnings. A rumbling purr meant satisfaction. They had a whole language made of sounds and movements. She also noticed something else. The other predators avoided the Krahara. When the family group moved through an area, everything else got out of the way. These creatures ruled the jungle absolutely. On the 5th day, Katie's luck ended. She was near a stream, filling containers she had made from large leaves. She was trying to gather water to store in her shelter. The sound of clicking made her freeze. 3 Krahara were approaching. 2 males and a female. They had seen her. There was no hiding now. Every instinct in Katie's body screamed at her to run. But she had watched what happened to creatures that ran. The Krahara chased them down every time. Running meant death. So Katie did something crazy. She stood up. She stood still. The 3 hunters circled her slowly. Their orange eyes studied this strange creature. Katie could smell them now, a mix of earth and blood and something wild. The largest male, the leader, stepped closer. He lowered his head. The bone crest flared out, making him look even bigger. A deep growl came from his throat. It was so low Katie felt it in her chest. She had seen this before. Not with Krahara, but with animals on other worlds. This was a dominance display. The Alpha was testing her, trying to figure out what she was, prey or threat. Katie made her choice. She planted her feet. She made herself as tall as possible. Then she screamed. It was not a scream of fear. It was a challenge. It came from deep in her lungs, a sound that said she would not go down easy, that she would fight, that she refused to be food. The lead Krahara jerked back. His companions stopped moving. They had not expected this. Prey did not challenge. Prey ran or cowered or died quietly. For a long moment, nothing happened. Katie stared at the Alpha. The Alpha stared back. His crest slowly lowered. His head tilted to one side like he was trying to understand. Then he made a soft, clicking sound to the others. Slowly, all three Krahara backed away. They melted into the jungle, leaving Katie alone. Her legs almost gave out. Her whole body was shaking. But she had learned something crucial. Here, acting tough mattered more than being big. Over the next 2 weeks, more predators found her. Each time Katie stood her ground. A pack of smaller hunters tried to surround her at a water hole. She grabbed a thick branch and hit the nearest one hard enough to hurt it. The pack decided she was too much trouble. A huge creature dropped from the trees right in front of her. Katie did not freeze. She yelled and threw rocks at it. The confused predator left to find easier food. Katie also started hunting. Not the big predators, but the smaller prey animals. She made weapons from stones and bones she found. Her first spear was rough, but it worked. She killed a small animal that looked like a rabbit with too many legs. It was not much meat, but it was hers. She noticed the Krahara watching her. The same group from before seemed interested in what she was doing. Katie started recognizing them. The alpha male had a scar across his crest. She called him Scar in her mind. The younger male had greenish scales. She named him Jade. The female moved like a shadow. Ghost seemed like a good name for her. One day, Katie came across a fresh kill. The Krahara pack had brought down a massive plant eater. They were feeding on it. Katie's stomach was empty. She had not eaten well in days. She knew this was risky, but she also knew the Krahara did not eat everything. They took the best parts and left the rest for scavengers. Katie walked toward them slowly. She made sure they could see her coming. The pack stopped eating. Scar moved between her and the food. This was a test. Katie knew it. She needed to show respect, but also strength. She walked forward with confidence. In one hand, she held a knife made from sharpened bone. When Scar growled, Katie did not back down. Instead, she dropped the knife. She picked up a rock. A scavenger bird was sneaking toward the kill from the other side. Katie threw the rock hard. It hit the bird and sent it flying away. She had just defended their kill, protected it from a thief. Scar's crest lowered. The aggressive stance relaxed. He made clicking sounds to Ghost and Jade. Then he did something Katie did not expect. He stepped aside. Katie approached the dead animal. Her hands were shaking. 2 months passed on Krahara Prime. Katie was still alive. More than that, she was thriving. She had built a real shelter near a cave system with fresh water. The walls were made from branches and mud. The roof kept out the rain. Inside, she had dried meat hanging from the ceiling and tools organized by use. Her body had changed. She was leaner now, all muscle. Her skin was tanned dark from the sun. Scars covered her arms and legs from close calls with thorns and claws. Her hair was tied back with vine rope. She looked like she belonged in this jungle. The relationship with Scar's pack had grown stronger. They left kills near her territory now. When danger approached, they made warning calls she had learned to understand. Katie gave them things too. She showed them how to use fire to drive prey into ambushes. She taught them how to preserve meat by smoking it. It was not friendship exactly. It was something else. Mutual respect between hunters who shared the same land. But that peace was about to be tested. Katie was fishing in her usual stream when she heard the sounds. Roaring, snarling, the distinctive clicks of Krahara in combat. She dropped her fish and climbed a tree to see what was happening. 2 packs of Krahara were fighting. On one side was Scar's group. On the other was a much larger pack led by a massive male. This rival alpha was almost twice Scar's size. His crest was huge and marked with scars from many battles. The fight was brutal. Jade took a hit to his shoulder that made him stumble. Ghost was thrown hard against a tree trunk. Scar was holding his own, but barely. The rival Alpha was pushing him back step by step toward the stream, toward Katie's territory. Katie watched from her tree. Her mind raced. She could hide. She could wait for it to end. The winners might leave her alone, or she could do something incredibly stupid. She climbed down fast. Her hands grabbed her best spear, the one with a fire-hardened point. She took a breath and then she screamed. The same war cry she had used before, but louder, angrier. Every Krahara stopped fighting. They all turned to look at this tiny human charging toward them. Katie ran straight at the rival Alpha. Not to fight him directly. She was not that crazy, but to distract him, to break his focus. The massive predator turned away from Scar. He looked at Katie like she had lost her mind. Maybe she had. She planted her feet and jabbed her spear toward him, not close enough to hurt, but close enough to threaten. The Alpha roared and charged. Katie ran, but not away. She ran toward a patch of ground she knew well. The earth there was soft and wet. It looked solid, but it was not. The Alpha followed, angry at this small thing that dared challenge him. His massive weight hit the soft ground and his legs sank in. He stumbled off balance, confused. That was all Scar needed. The scarred Alpha launched himself at the rival's exposed throat. His claws dug deep. The other members of his pack rallied. They attacked from all sides. The fight turned fast. The rival pack started backing up. Their Alpha was bleeding badly now. He pulled himself from the mud and ran. His followers went with him, disappearing into the jungle. When it was over, the clearing went quiet except for heavy breathing. Scar turned to look at Katie. Blood dripped from his claws. His crest was raised high. Katie stood still. Her spear was ready but lowered. She had fought beside them. She had helped them win. Scar walked toward her slowly. Each step shook the ground. He lowered his massive head until it was level with hers. His orange eyes looked into her human ones. Then he made a sound Katie had never heard before. It was a deep rumble that came from his chest, a purr of approval, of acceptance. From that moment, everything changed. Katie was not just tolerated by the pack anymore. She was part of it. Ghost started sleeping near Katie's shelter at night. Her presence kept other predators away. Jade brought fresh kills and left them by Katie's door. Scar made sounds that she realized were teaching her more of their language. Other hunters in the jungle noticed. The human who ran with Krahara was no longer seen as prey by anyone. She moved through the jungle freely now. Even the most aggressive predators gave her space. Katie used this new freedom to improve everything. She made better weapons. She built a second shelter as storage. She found plants that could be used as medicine. She learned which parts of the jungle flooded during storms and which stayed dry. She also taught the pack new things: how to make simple traps, how to read weather signs, how to use smoke signals to communicate over long distances. One day, Scar brought the whole pack to Katie's shelter. There were 7 of them now, 3 adults and 4 younger ones. He made a series of clicks and gestures. Katie was starting to understand their language better. He was asking her to hunt with them, not just to tag along, to actually be part of the hunt. Katie grabbed her spear and followed. The pack moved through the jungle in formation, Scar in the lead, Ghost on the left flank, Jade on the right, and Katie, surprisingly, was positioned in the middle with the younger Krahara. They were hunting a large herbivore that traveled in herds. The plan was complex. The pack would split up. Some would drive the prey toward others who waited in ambush. Katie's job was to block an escape route with the younger members. When the hunt began, Katie moved with them. She used her spear to turn a fleeing animal back toward the ambush point. The young Krahara worked with her, coordinating without words. When the kill was made, Katie had earned her share through participation. That night, the pack fed together. Katie cooked her portion over fire while the others ate theirs raw. They did not mind. Different species, different methods, but all hunters, all family. Katie looked at the Krahara around her. Scar, who had given her a chance. Ghost, who protected her. Jade, who brought her food. The younger ones, who now looked at her with curiosity instead of hunger. 6 months had passed since Katie was thrown onto Krahara Prime. She had become something the Galactic Council never expected. She was not just surviving, she was leading. Her territory had expanded. The cave system she lived in now had multiple rooms. One for sleeping, one for food storage, one for making tools and weapons. She had even carved channels to bring fresh water inside. The pack had grown too. More Krahara had joined Scar's group after seeing how well they hunted with Katie's help. There were 12 of them now. They respected Scar as their alpha, but they also listened to Katie when she had ideas. Life had settled into a routine. Hunt, eat, rest, teach the young ones, maintain the territory. It was a good life, hard but honest. Katie had almost forgotten about the galaxy beyond this moon. Then the ship came. Katie was working on a new spear when Ghost made an alert call. The sound meant danger from above. Katie dropped her work and ran outside. The whole pack was looking up at the sky. There, breaking through the clouds, was a spacecraft. It was not a council ship. Katie recognized the design. It was the Horizon's Edge. Her old crew had come for her. The ship landed in a clearing a mile away from her territory. Katie's heart raced. Part of her wanted to run to them immediately. Part of her was not sure she wanted to leave. Scar growled softly beside her. He could sense her confusion. Katie put a hand on his scaled shoulder. "They are friends," she said in the Krahara language she had learned. "Come with me." The pack followed her through the jungle. Katie moved with confidence now, knowing every path and danger. When they reached the clearing, she saw the ship's door opening. Armed humans in combat suits stepped out, weapons ready. Captain Ryan Brooks was leading them. Navigator Amy Chen was right behind him. They had plasma rifles and looked ready for a fight. Then Katie stepped out of the trees. She looked nothing like the woman they had known. Her clothes were made from treated animal hide. Her hair was long and wild. She carried weapons made from bone and stone. And behind her, 7 Krahara emerged from the jungle like an honor guard. The rescue team froze. Several of them raised their weapons in panic. "Stand down," Katie said calmly. "They are with me." Ryan's jaw dropped. He lowered his rifle slowly. "Katie, is that really you?" "Hello, Captain," Katie said with a smile. "You are late." Amy stepped forward, her eyes wide. "How are you alive? Your tracking signal died 3 months ago. We thought you were dead." "I am very much alive, and I am not alone." Katie gestured to Scar. The massive Krahara stepped beside her protectively. "This is Scar. He leads this pack. They are my family now." Ryan looked at the predators surrounding Katie. His training told him to be afraid. These were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. But they were just standing there, calm, following Katie's lead. "We came to rescue you," he said. "But I see you do not need rescuing." "No," Katie agreed, "but I assume you did not come just to check on me. You found evidence against the Council." Amy nodded eagerly. "We found everything. Council members doing illegal weapons tests, proof of cover-ups, documents showing they knew the weapons killed civilians. We have allies ready to testify. But Katie, we need you. You are the key witness. You have to come back and face them in court." Katie looked back at the jungle, at Scar and Ghost and Jade, at the younger Krahara who had learned to trust her. She had built a life here, strange and wild, but hers. "If I come, I will not come alone," she said firmly. Ryan blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean the Krahara come with me, all of them. They are my pack. Where I go, they go." The captain looked uncertain. "Katie, these are apex predators. The Council will never allow them on station." Katie's expression hardened. Then the Council can explain to the galaxy why they are afraid of creatures I live with every day. Either they come or I stay. Your choice." Ryan and Amy exchanged looks. Finally, Ryan sighed. "All right, we will make it work, but you have to keep them controlled." "They are already controlled," Katie said. She made a clicking sound to Scar. The Alpha understood. He made a rumbling purr, and the whole pack relaxed. Over the next hour, they worked out the details. The Krahara would travel in a special cargo hold modified for comfort. Katie would stay with them. The trip back to Council space would take 2 weeks. As they prepared to leave, Katie took one last walk through her territory. She touched the shelter she had built, the tools she had made, the fire pit where she had cooked countless meals. Ghost walked beside her silently. The female Krahara had become Katie's closest companion. She seemed to understand that this was goodbye to the jungle, at least for now. Katie knelt and pressed her hand against the earth. "I will come back," she promised. "This is my home too now." The journey to Council space was strange. Katie split her time between the cargo hold with the pack and the bridge with her old crew. The Krahara adapted surprisingly well to the ship. They were curious about everything, examining the walls and floors with careful claws. Ryan and Amy caught Katie up on everything that had happened. They had spent 6 months gathering evidence. They had found other whistleblowers. They had built a case that could bring down the corrupt council members. "The trial starts in 3 days," Ryan explained. "It is going to be the biggest scandal in council history." Katie nodded. "Good. They need to pay for what they did." When they arrived at the council station, word spread fast. The human who was supposed to die on Krahara Prime had returned. And she had brought the apex predators with her. Station security met them at the dock. The chief of security was a tall alien with 4 arms. He looked at the Krahara with obvious fear. "Those creatures cannot be allowed on station," he said firmly. Katie stepped forward. "These creatures have more control than most of your personnel. They will not harm anyone unless threatened, but they stay with me." "This is highly irregular," the security chief protested. "So was exiling me to a death moon for telling the truth," Katie shot back. "Either they stay or I leave, and without me, your trial falls apart." The security chief contacted his superiors. After an hour of arguing, permission was granted, but Katie and the Krahara would be confined to a special holding area until the trial. The holding area was large enough for the pack to move around. Katie made sure they had food and water. She explained what was happening as best she could in their language. Scar listened carefully. Then he made a series of clicks that Katie understood. "We trust you. We follow you." The trial began 2 days later. The courtroom was packed. News crews from every major species were there. Council members sat in their high seats looking nervous. And Katie Morrison walked in with 7 Krahara flanking her like royal guards. The room erupted in shock. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. The judge, a different one from before, banged his gavel for order. Katie took the stand. For 3 hours she testified. She told that the council offered Katie everything after the trial ended. They gave her a full pardon for all charges. They offered money, enough to live in luxury for the rest of her life. They offered her a position as an advisor on dangerous worlds. They wanted to make up for what they had done. Katie turned down most of it. She sat across from the new council leadership in a private meeting room. Scar stood behind her chair like a shadow. The council members kept glancing at him nervously. "I do not want your money or your positions," Katie said clearly. "I want one thing. I want Krahara Prime declared a protected sanctuary. No more prisoners dumped there. No more interference. The moon belongs to the creatures who live on it." The lead council member, a thoughtful alien named Dax, nodded slowly. "And who would oversee this sanctuary?" "I would," Katie said. "I will be the warden. I will live there and make sure no one disturbs it." I will also allow approved researchers to study there, but only under my supervision. Dax considered this. You would give up life and civilization to live on a predator moon? Katie smiled. That predator moon is my home now. Those creatures are my family. I belong there more than I belong here. The council agreed. Within a month, Krahara Prime was officially declared protected. Katie was named warden with full authority. She could approve or deny any visits. She could set the rules. The moon was hers to protect. But Katie did not go back alone. Ryan and Amy asked to come with her. They wanted to study the Krahara and learn how Katie had done the impossible. You two will follow my rules, Katie warned them. The pack comes first. Always. They agreed without hesitation. The return to Krahara Prime felt like coming home. When the ship landed in the same clearing where Katie had first crashed, she stepped out and breathed in the jungle air. It smelled like earth and life and wild things. The pack spread out immediately, happy to be back in their territory. Scar roared, a sound of joy and ownership. The jungle roared back, welcoming them home. Over the next year, Katie built something new on Krahara Prime. She established a small research station near her original shelter. Ryan and Amy lived there, studying the predators from a safe distance. Katie taught them how to move through the jungle, how to read the signs, how to earn respect instead of demanding it. Other scientists asked to come. Katie was selective. She only allowed people who would respect the creatures and the land. Those who came learned quickly that on Krahara Prime, Katie's word was law. The research they did changed everything scientists thought they knew about apex predators. The Krahara were not mindless killers. They were intelligent, social, and capable of complex problem-solving. They had their own culture, their own language, their own code of honor. Katie documented all of it. She wrote reports that were studied across the galaxy. She gave lectures via video link, though she rarely left the moon. She became known as the Predator Queen, the human who ruled over the most dangerous creatures in known space. But Katie did not see herself as a ruler. She was a member of the pack. She hunted with them. She raised the young ones. She defended the territory. She was family. Scar grew older over the years. His scales turned darker. His movements became slower, but his mind stayed sharp. He taught Katie things about the jungle that no human had ever known, secret places, ancient paths, the deep history of his kind. When Scar finally died, Katie mourned like she had lost a father. The whole pack gathered around his body. They made sounds of grief that echoed through the jungle. Katie carved his name into stone in their language, marking his grave with honor. Jade became the new alpha. He was strong and wise, having learned from both Scar and Katie. Under his leadership, the pack continued to thrive. Ghost stayed close to Katie always. The two of them had a bond that went beyond species. They understood each other without words. When Katie was sad, Ghost would sit beside her. When Ghost was injured, Katie would treat her wounds with careful hands. Years passed. The research station grew. More humans came to learn. Katie trained them personally, teaching them the ways of the jungle. Some stayed for months, some stayed for years. All of them left changed with a new respect for the creatures they had feared. Katie also discovered other things on Krahara Prime. There were ruins deep in the jungle, evidence of an ancient civilization that had lived here long ago. She found cave paintings that showed humans and Krahara together. It seemed like this partnership was not new. It was old. Very old. The discovery raised questions. Had humans been here before? Had they lived with the Krahara in the distant past? Katie spent years trying to understand the ruins and what they meant. One day, a young woman arrived at the research station. Her name was Lisa Grant. She was a xenobiologist who had heard about Katie's work. She wanted to learn. Katie saw something of herself in Lisa, the same determination, the same refusal to give up. She took the young woman under her wing. The first lesson, Katie told her on their first walk into the jungle, is that you are not above these creatures. You are not better than them. You are different. Respect that difference. Lisa learned fast. Within months, she could move through the jungle almost as well as Katie. She learned the Krahara language. She earned the pack's trust. Katie saw her future in this young woman, someone who could continue the work when Katie was gone. But Katie was not thinking about leaving anytime soon. She was in her 40s now. Her hair had streaks of gray. Her body bore many scars. But she was stronger than ever. The jungle kept her sharp. News came from Council Space occasionally. The reforms Katie had pushed for were working. Treatment of frontier worlds had improved. Laws protecting primitive species were stronger. Her testimony had changed the galaxy for the better. But Katie did not care about politics anymore. Her life was here, with the pack, with the jungle, with the creatures who had accepted her when the council had thrown her away. One evening, Katie sat by a fire outside her shelter. The pack was nearby, some sleeping, some grooming each other. Lisa sat across from her, asking questions about the ancient ruins. Ryan and Amy were at the research station, reviewing the day's data. The jungle sounds surrounded them all, roars and calls and rustles in the darkness. Katie looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the council was meeting. Ships were flying. The galaxy was turning. But none of that mattered here. "Do you ever miss it?" Lisa asked. "Civilization? Technology? Comfort?" Katie thought about it. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but not enough to leave. This is where I belong. These creatures, this jungle, this wild place. It made me who I was meant to be." Ghost padded over and lay down beside Katie. The massive Krahara's head rested on Katie's lap. Katie scratched behind her crest gently. "The council sent me here to die," Katie continued. "They thought this place would break me, but it did the opposite. It showed me what I was capable of. It taught me that strength is not about size or weapons. It is about respect and courage and refusing to give up." Lisa smiled. "You are a legend now. People tell stories about you across the galaxy." Katie laughed. "Let them talk. I am just a woman who learned to listen to creatures everyone else feared. That is all." But it was not all. Katie Morrison had changed the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. She had proven that humans could adapt to anywhere, that friendship could cross any divide. That respect was earned through actions. The Deathworlder girl who had been thrown to the apex predators had ruled over them all, not through force, not through dominance, but through understanding and courage. She had become legend. She had become myth. But most importantly, she had become exactly who she was meant to be. And as she sat by the fire with her pack around her, Katie Morrison knew she had found her true home, among the predators, in the wild, where the strong survived and the brave thrived. The galaxy had tried to kill her. Instead, it had set her free. About the weapons testing, the cover-ups, the illegal activities. She showed them the data she had stolen. She named names. The corrupt council members tried to discredit her. They called her a criminal, a liar, a dangerous radical. Then Katie did something that silenced them all. She called Scar forward. The massive Krahara walked up to the stand calmly. He sat beside Katie like a trained dog, but everyone knew he could kill half the room in seconds. "These are the creatures you told me would tear me apart," Katie said to Velcros, who sat in the defendant's seat now. "You sent me to die among them. Instead, they taught me what real honor looks like. They accepted me when you threw me away. So who is really the monster here?" The courtroom went silent. The images of Katie living with the Krahara played on screens, hunting together, sharing food, protecting each other. It was proof that what the council thought impossible was real. The trial lasted 2 weeks. In the end, 3 council members were found guilty. They were removed from power. Galactic laws were changed, and Katie Morrison became famous across the galaxy. But she did not care about fame. When it was over, she had only one request. She had been sent here to die. The council thought this moon would break her. Instead, it had made her stronger. She had not conquered the predators through force. She had earned their respect by proving herself worthy. Katie Morrison was no longer just a human surviving on an alien world. She was a member of a Krahara pack. She was a hunter. She was part of something bigger than herself. The council had made a mistake. They thought Earth's daughter would be easy prey. They forgot that Earth was a death world too. It had trained her for exactly this: to adapt, to survive, to thrive no matter where she was thrown. And Katie was just getting started. She had learned the jungle's rules. She had found her place in the hierarchy. Now she was ready to show the galaxy what a human could really do. The Deathworlder girl had not just survived. She had become queen of the predators. And that was going to change everything. But she kept them steady. She cut off a small piece of meat. Not too much. Just enough. Then she backed away slowly, showing she was not greedy. That night she cooked the meat over a fire. She could see the Krahara pack watching from the darkness. Their eyes reflected the firelight. They were curious about this strange creature that used fire and tools and refused to be prey. Katie ate her meal and thought about what had happened. She had shared a kill with apex predators. She had earned their respect through action, not words. This was a turning point. The jungle was still dangerous. Death was still close every day. But Katie was learning the rules. She was finding her place in the order of things. The council had sent her here to die alone and afraid. Instead, she was building something new, something they never imagined possible. She was becoming part of this world. And that was only the beginning. Enseal expected. She climbed down from her tree and started exploring. She needed to learn this place if she wanted to survive. She needed to understand the hunters. She needed to know their patterns, their territories, their weaknesses. Katie found a stream and drank. The water tasted strange but did not make her sick. She found plants that looked like they might be safe to eat. She tested them carefully, the way she had been taught. Small bite first. Wait. See if her stomach hurt. As she moved through the jungle, she realized something. This place had rules. Just like every ecosystem, there was an order to things. The strong hunted the weak. Territory mattered. Respect mattered. If she wanted to live, she would need to learn those rules. She would need to find her place in the order. And knowing Katie Morrison, she would not settle for being at the bottom. The council had thrown her to the predators. They expected her to die screaming. But they forgot something important. Earth was a death world, too. And it had taught Katie how to survive anywhere, no matter what.